Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we are covering Club Building 101. Mike, we are in your element.
In the element. Welcome to the Build Shop. This is exciting. I'm finally able to show everyone what we do here. It's pretty cool. It's a in-depth process, but we're gonna make it simple today.
Yeah, so today we are going to show you how we go through the process of building a driver start to finish. And so Mike, take us through the first steps of you've gotten the information for all the specs that you're gonna need.
Yep.
So let's go through how we put that together.
Yeah, it all starts from basically the prescription. So we know that this customer's getting a Stealth Plus 9 degree with a Bryson Series LA golf shaft and a multi-compound black grip. Once the builders get this product, we weigh everything out. So we weigh all the specs to make sure that there's no anomalies with building this golf club and making sure whatever you were fit to, we build it exactly to that spec, reduces the break-in period and hopefully gives you the best golf club you've ever had. So I'll show you how we kind of spec everything out.
Cool, let's do it.
First part, I always write all my specs down. I know we have the use of the computer, but when you're writing things down, trying to figure out, it's no math equation by any means, but in my head, I'm always making sure that I've got everything laid out for me, again, and then I can input in the computer. I'm always back and forth between, checking swing weights, checking total weights, making sure that we're gonna tip this properly. Before we do anything to get rid of a part of a shaft or change a setting, I need to make sure all my specs are 100%. I don't want to build anything wrong for a customer, and I don't want to waste a golf shaft. This shaft weighs 68.7 grams.
So that's the raw weight.
That's the raw weight, yeah.
Okay.
46-inch blank raw weight of that LA golf shaft. Driver head, now I weigh all my driver heads with the adapter in it. I get flack online, people are like, why is the driver head 203 grams? I believe this adds enough weight, so I always measure with adapter weight in there.
Well, yeah, if you think about like drivers before that had no adjustability, that hosel was all part of the club head weight.
Exactly.
So it does factor in.
Exactly, definitely. This has just the stock 10-gram weight in there as well. We're not changing that for this customer. This head with adapter is 202.9. And then last but not least, because we always want to check swing weight, and if a customer has 2, 3, 4, 5 wraps of tape, hopefully not more than 3 wraps of tape. We'll get into another video about that, but we're gonna just weigh the grip as well. This is a standard multi-compound, black, 50 grams, 50.2 grams on that.
How much do grip weights fluctuate that you've noticed? Is it like half a gram kind of thing either way?
Yeah, I mean, I was building a set the other day and I had BCT grips, and there was 6 of them were 50.3 grams and 1 of them was 51 grams. Was able to go through the back and just, if we're gonna keep that set consistent, we're maintaining a certain swing weight there. Yeah, I grabbed one that was 50.3 grams, which was lucky, but yeah, max a gram difference. I haven't really seen anything too crazy. Obviously you go undersized, they get lighter. You go mid-size and jumbo, they're gonna get heavier, more mass in that grip. But generally these guys are 50 grams across the board.
And you would use those heavier grips for either putting them together to make another set or on, say, like a lob wedge that it fits towards the end of the set or something like that?
Definitely, yeah, we'll always progress it. And same with building a set of irons. If if they're parallels, we'll kind of weight sort those and make sure that kind of progressively gets heavier throughout the set. So this is an important one. Sometimes it's overlooked too many times, but grip weight is important just as much as weighing a shaft or weighing a club head.
Cool.
Cool. All right, next step, we're going to measure final length. We're gonna tip the shaft as well. We're gonna tip this 1/2 inch. Tipping is just gonna make it a little bit stiffer. That's prescribed by the fitter. So we do that over here. And then we're gonna prep the shaft. We're not gonna prep more than what the adapter measures out to. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it with a knife, gets it nice and consistent. If you've been building for a long enough time, you can use a belt sander when we're building. A lot of drivers throughout the day or a set of clubs, the belt sander definitely helps. This grit is not very heavy, so definitely it won't damage the shaft. That's its prep. Before we put it back in the head or get it ready to glue, I'm going to wipe it with acetone just to clean it up a little bit.
Now, one of the things about getting it prepped is you're literally just trying to take the paint off to help with the epoxy, correct?
A thin layer. I don't want to take anything. I don't want to change the size of the tip section. We prep it obviously just for glue, just to make sure that epoxy stays through. What I will do is I will take a wire brush and just clean inside. These are from the OEM, 99.9% of the time they are perfect. There's never anything in it, but giving it that little bit of a kind of a prep inside just helps with bonding the shaft to the club head.
Cool.
Okay, so hosels prep, shafts prepped, we're ready to glue this driver up. We use 2 types of epoxy at TXG. We should really use only one. We use a 24-hour epoxy. Generally, it's a 12-hour cure, and then 24 for 100%, perfectly good to go. The process we do is we build during the day, we glue everything at the end of the day, that dries overnight. We come in, we cut and grip, the team is cutting and gripping, and we're always keeping that kind of flow working. If I'm building stuff right now, lately, I've been using a lot of 3M Scotch Weld. This is stuff they use on every tour truck. A lot of OEMs use this. You can basically hit a golf club within 35 minutes with this stuff. It's very, very good. Really quick work time with it, but like I said, we could go use this driver on the course this afternoon.
This is like the stuff that you see when they mix it up on the van, and then sometimes they'll use a heat cell if they really want to speed it up, but in reality, this stuff's ready to go in 20 minutes.
I have built golf clubs for customers, staff, and we've built something up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're on the first tee at 3 o'clock, and nothing's ever broken. This stuff is the best of the best. You don't need much of it. Quick mix just to make the epoxy start to work. And like I said, it works really, really quickly. One thing I do add to all my builds, they don't all need them, but I use a little bit of quick center. Basically, this is just sand. I call it Italian seasoning. So I add this to the epoxy, just again, it helps keeping the shaft a little bit in there tighter, and it can help, obviously, help things sit a little bit straighter. For this, because it's going into an adapter, it's gonna sit straight 99% of the time. Some irons require a little bit of this just to help it sit straight. We sometimes see this in our shops quite a bit. We're putting a lot of taper into some parallel heads, so we have to use shims. Sometimes they don't dry properly, so we do use a clamp overnight. It helps it set a little bit cleaner, and again, it can reduce breakage and whatnot. So a little bit extra step, but mix this into the epoxy. I don't add a lot because we're just building a driver.
I've heard it's like aggregate in concrete.
Yep,
right?
100%.
It's just something else in there that just kind of works together to help with bonding.
Yep. So I add a little bit into the adapter right away. I take the shaft. We've already wiped the shaft with acetone, clear of debris. Put it in quickly. Give it a bit of a spin just to kind of get the shaft coated. Obviously, you can see there's not a ton of epoxy going up that shaft. That's why I don't try to fill the head with too much epoxy. Sometimes if that epoxy rides up, it can cause breakage. It puts weight in a weird place. It's not ideal.
It's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, and you probably see that a lot of the driver comes in and it's broken at the tip. It's just people have used so much epoxy that it's just worked. They think that it's come out around the outside, but it's actually worked its way up the golf shaft, and then it's very detrimental as far as weight and putting mass where it doesn't need to be, and all those different things, right?
It's the worst, yeah. So again, that quick set, you can see it's a little bit, even though we've prepped the shaft and made it smaller, that tip section, with that quick center, it's harder to get that shaft on. To me, that's just helps with the bonding. It makes it a little bit tighter. This one's being built to just logo down. This one's not getting pured. Make sure the logos are right. This does have some writing down the middle, but it's hard to see. Double check. Couple tamps just to make sure it seats properly. And you take a little bit of paper towel, and then there's always some epoxy on the bottom there. Clean that up, because when that dries, it doesn't sit on the graphite shaft. It's hard to clean epoxy off a graphite shaft. You don't want it to scratch. We'll let that guy dry. And in 20 minutes, it'll be ready to cut and grip.
So Mike, the epoxy is completely set. Let's take through the last steps of how this would be finished out.
Definitely. So driver's ready to go. The only thing we're gonna do here is we are going to measure to final length, and then we're gonna give its final trim, and then it'll be ready for a grip.
Sounds good. All right, so we're back at the build cell here with Mike, and one of the final steps and most important steps here is recording the final spec. Can you explain why?
One, we want to make sure it's built exactly how that customer was fit. And then if something goes wrong, if it gets stolen, if it breaks, if the customer leaves it on a golf course, they can call in. We can replicate every golf club in their bag to the exact spec that they had the first one at.
Very cool. So what are those specs to go through here as we go through this process?
Definitely. So what we've put in earlier was, what we've put in earlier is head weight, shaft weight, grip weight. The length is in here. We've got the frequency. We've got the trimming. We always know who the builder was. That's just to keep track of how many clubs we're building weekly. The swing weight for this guy was D5.1. And again, that's all saved in. Your fitter has access to it. Everyone on staff has access to it. So if anything goes wrong, we can always replicate it.
There's universality behind all of this information, right? Any builder can come in, look at this, and replicate it. It doesn't have to be the same driver because everything about this has been standardized. The way a shaft is cut, the way a shaft is measured and tipped, the frequency machines, or sorry, not the frequency machines, the swing weight scales are all calibrated correctly. So every time a club comes out of here, we can replicate it the exact same way every single time, regardless of who or what cell it came out of when it was built. And at the end of the day, it just means consistency for the golfer.
Exactly. For the amount of clubs that we're building, all the benches kind of mirror each other, and again, we need, if I'm building it or builder 2's building it or builder 3, it's all coming out the same, and it doesn't look different from everyone. Like I said, we're building a lot of clubs, so the consistency has to be there.
That's really cool. All right, so that is how we build a driver at TXG, and this process really goes through every club in the bag, whether it be a driver down to a set of wedges. The process is basically the same. It's just might be a little bit different shaft, steel versus graphite.
Absolutely.
Maybe cutting it a little different lengths if we're dealing with a driver versus a lob wedge. But it really is about making sure that at the end of the day, the customer has a set of golf clubs that can be replicated. And not only that, has the information and knowledge that they were built exactly to spec, and they can be confident when they make that first swing with those clubs from the first tee to the 18th hole.
100%.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. We really wanted to dive into the process of what goes into building golf clubs here at TXG, and there was no better person to show us around here than Mike, who leads the way in the Build Shop team here.
Definitely more to come.
All right, everyone, thanks for watching.